I went to the Institute of Fine Arts graduate school on 78th and Fifth Avenue. I entered there after 4 years at Brandeis, which were the height of the 60s in terms of political demonstrations, drugs, everything. And I was one of the more conservative people at Brandeis, but I was still in the midst of it. And I go to the Institute, and everyone is wearing three-piece suits, and the girls are all wearing patent leather pumps, and it's German Kunstgeschichte. Because at Brandeis, the art major was equally divided between studio and art history, and there was no sense. At the Institute of Fine Arts is the foremost graduate school for art history, and it was just so snobbish. Although the faculty were all great German art historians, Jewish who had to flee from Europe, but it had this huge marble staircase, and I walked in there and I felt like an imposter. You know, I aside from wearing jeans, it was like, what am I doing here? And but I made some very close friends who I'm still close with, who felt the same way then. But it was a different world in 1970. The Institute was really like upper class. So in my first year or so there, everybody used to talk about this place where they went for lunch. There was like a really inexpensive cafeteria, and they called it Atran. And then I found out that Atran was the Atran Hoyz. The Atran Hoyz was where the Yiddish pen club met and Jewish writers. And it's called, my father went there all the time. It was on the corner of 78th and Madison, right next to Pearl's Galleries, which is why he went into Pearl's about 3 or 4 times a week. And it was the Atran Hois, and they'd eat and have coffee and inexpensive meals. So all these people were talking about Atran. Again, a completely different world. So one day I said, I'm going to go to Atran. But I was mortified that I was going to see my father and all these people there, which is sure enough what happened. It was people from my world, from my parents' world, which were totally different than the people anyplace else in the world. Also the IFA, which is now the Neue Gallery. When that was the IFA, they bought the building from the IFA. When that was the IFA, it was an incredibly run-down mansion, you know, with, I mean, I can't tell you the difference in what it looked like with, you know, filing cabinets that, you know, didn't match and whatever, and mainly elderly people, which is what's so wonderful now about going to a place like IFA downtown. It's full of young people like you, and it just has a whole different feel to it of belonging to the present age. In those days, these things had a real feeling of not belonging in the present, of being carryovers from someplace else, and the people being, you know, from the past. It's unfortunate, and it's a very superficial way of looking at people or things, but that was what it was. So that was the story with the Atran Hois.